Hello, beautiful Cancerian family, and welcome to September 2020. This is a powerful, intriguing month with a lot of answers and clarity coming in, and also a lot of review. It's kind of the beginning of a huge review process. We're going to be going over the rest of this year from the equinox to the solstice, basically. And that's for a few reasons. Jupiter and Saturn are going direct this month, and they are going to be finishing their transits through Capricorn, which is huge for you all. That's going to be closing out the last year of Jupiter being in your relationship house, and the last nearly 3 years of Saturn being in your house of relationships. So this is a big one. I think there's going to be a completely different flavor to next year for you all when it comes to Jupiter and Saturn. They're going to be working through your 8th house of transformation, and you're going to be finding that you're changing shape and changing form. The other big thing happening this month is Mars retrograde. Don't let that get you intimidated or overwhelmed. Mars retrograde, I think, is a much needed process because you think about Mars, who is so tied to our willpower and our drive and that, go, 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 like make it happen, warrior mode. So when he retrogrades, he helps us assess what it is we're actually going after and why we think it matters. And in your case, especially if you're Cancer rising, this is going through your house of who you are in the world, the impact you want to make, and it's having you assess how you want to use your beautiful Cancerian gifts to change the world and to change your own world, right? So this is a huge metaphorical and energetic retrograde that really helps get those pieces in line. I would say also with September, the message that came up for Cancerians as I felt through your energy was that this is a month to really feel that commitment and devotion to what's ahead for you, and to really just commune with that sense of knowing deep within. You have a full moon right away at the beginning of this month in the 9th house in Pisces, which is all about your big vision, your big, bold visions for what's ahead, and understanding what that is, and opening to it, and closing out anything that no longer serves. And all of Virgo season, your voice is getting activated, your understanding, your ideas, your communicative storytelling self is getting activated. So this is just a beautiful time. Venus is moving through your 2nd house of abundance and self-worth. So there's a lot of supportive energy moving through for you. And like I said, there's a couple themes. One is this whole idea of sacred commitment and devotion to your next embodiment. And the other theme here is how you want to make an impact, and letting yourself tap into that powerful source, right? To feel really empowered in what you do in the world. 2 of Cups right out of the gate. I love it. Like I said, Venus is going to be in your 2nd house. That's amazing. I also think, that Jupiter and Saturn in your 7th house of commitment and of your partnerships and of how you connect to others has been in some ways very helpful. King of Wands, 10 of Pentacles. Beautiful, Cancer. Oh my God, I love this for you all. I forgot to ask my partner what words of wisdom he would share with the Cancerian tribe this month. I always like his little comments are so funny, but I don't have one this month. But I'm loving these cards. So yeah, this is a beautiful time of nurturing, of commitment, of creativity, of curiosity, and also, like I said, just opening up to a big chapter. 7 of Swords. What would life be without a little overthinking, a little looking around, right? What would life be without that? And 6 of Swords. Okay, so yeah, there is some complexity here. And what's interesting, this keeps coming up as a theme this month. And I mean, maybe this is just existence in life, and it's one of those themes that comes up again and again. But this month is really about, because we're kind of getting in line with the last few months of this year, because Saturn and Jupiter are going direct and really heading toward their closeout of long transits, because we're doing the review work of Mars, because Mercury is going to be shifting into pre-shadow phase in Libra for a retrograde that starts in October. There is a big review process going on here. And along with that review is coming and understanding that we can't go back to the past and we don't need to. So that theme comes up again and again and again. And I think with that whole balancing assessment thing, when the sun moves into Libra and we have the equinox on the 22nd, it is a time of that assessment. That's one of my favorite things about equinox time. It's really great for understanding where you are now, right? So let's talk about the nuance going on here, because there's a lot of growth for Cancerians, right? Like I said, that commitment, that devotion, that diving deeper, that feeling like you're really connecting in with who you're becoming next, and also activating that leadership, that knowing of how you want to use your empathy, your drive, your clarity, your magical gifts to help the world. Those are all going to be big themes this month. We start right out of the gate with Two of Cups, right? Partnership. Connection is strong for you this month. It's going to be one of your big themes this month. It's going to be where you're going to find solace and where you're going to be finding, connection, joy, and a lot of answers. Sometimes, we are not made to do everything alone all the time, right? And to be self-sufficient. There's another part of us that really thrives in finding answer and nurturing with others. And so love is on the table here. I'll admit it, right? Like, this is a beautiful time for you with this. There is connection. And it doesn't just have to be with love partners. It can be, if you're in a relationship or you're looking to date, there can actually absolutely be a deepening of connection. This has to do with the connections we make with those really deep, intimate people in our lives, though. And I think you're going to be finding this is a huge theme for September, which is great. The other part of this is visionary. And September, it does have a visionary quality to it. As we start tapping into these final months of 2020, we're starting to tap into what it is we're getting in order for next year. Now, I'm never somebody who recommends getting caught on the future, because obviously practicing being in the present is where our joy is going to come from, and waiting for another year to pretend that that's not going to be more nuanced or less deep and less challenging is not going to lead us anywhere amazing. But there is such a thing as being tapped into who you're becoming, and you're communing with that version of self who is actually present with you in the present, but is also in the future at the same time. It's a very interesting mental exercise to practice into, but that's kind of what's happening here with this time of self-assessment, with the beginning of Mars retrograde, with the equinox, with both Jupiter and Saturn going direct. This is one of the themes that's coming up, and for you, it has a lot to do with vision, what you are building next. Really strong energy here. I love it. King of Wands, right? Seeing over the landscape. Now, you may have a fire sign in your life. You may have, he is hanging out right next to the Two of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles. And if there's one thing you can notice about those two cards is that, commitment, devotion, partnership, connection is strong, right? So you may have a King of Wands in your life, right? That is sharing this vision with you, connecting with you. But this is also about you, right? Cancerians, yes, you are sensitive, you are wise, you feel things, you notice things. You're also driven, you're also clear-sighted, you're also focused, you're also very visionary people. And you have a King of Wands inside of you. I've seen this firsthand, and it's pretty amazing, right? The visionary leader who can see 20 miles in the future, who's really creative, really inventive, really curious. And yes, there is a stubbornness to King of Wands, so keep that in mind, right? We can get a little stubborn, we can get a little stuck on what we think needs to happen. But the thing is that King of Wands is being so supported here by such warm cards, including Ten of Pentacles. Long range planning. And that's where I'm saying, this month really heralds a shift in energy, and it heralds us. It's time, if you want something to happen 3 or 4 months from now, it's important to be in alignment with it now. There's a big boomerang effect, a big wave effect that we work with in this universe, where we need to start, tapping into what it is we're welcoming in, so to give it time to come back to us, right? And that's what Ten of Pentacles is all about. And this is long-term visioning. This is long-term connection. This is long-term investment. I mean, when you get a card like this with Pentacles, this is about the investments you are making. Now, this is a positive investment. This has to do with, the family you want to build, the business you want to build, the legacy you want to leave, whatever it is. That's not something that you're trying to build in 1 month, but something that you are looking forward to building and being in the process of for many years to come. That's what Ten of Pentacles speaks to. So you have so much supportive energy when it comes to this. Like I said, like those words, devotion, commitment, man, strong in September. Now let's talk about these swords, because I know you're probably like, okay, Sarah, yeah, we have these nice cozy cards, but why is there drama at the end of our conversation? If you notice, both of these cards have to do with leaving, right? Like they're going somewhere. One is going somewhere and they're very paranoid. They're trying to like disarm their enemy very sneakily and getting away with something, right? And the other one is more of the grief of leaving behind an old shore. Now, I think when we're in a place of self-assessment and we are welcoming in and choosing a path, right? There's a part of ourselves that goes through a bit of resistance, a bit of nervousness, a bit of paranoia, a bit of tension around that changing and that shifting. And it's a natural part of the process. And both of these cards speak to two different aspects of this, because the Seven of Swords for me, it often shows up when we think we're getting away with something, when we think that the only way this thing can be going well, and the only way that I can really believe that I get to do the work that I really love, or I get to be in the relationship I really want to be in, or that things are okay and I will be okay and I will be able to, find my path even in the nuance and the craziness of life. There's a part of us that thinks, I'm not allowed to do that. The only way this is happening is because I'm being sneaky. And so the sword suit is really interesting because it has to do with our thoughts. It has to do with the way we tell the story, right? And so it's always important to note when they show up that there's a part of you that maybe feels like it has to tell a story of you're not worthy. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to devote to this. You're not allowed to say yes to this. You should be looking over your shoulder because you're probably getting away with it. And it's not necessarily the truth. But if this voice is coming up for you, I would highly suggest noticing it. Because the other part of this is the Six of Swords is saying you got to leave that behind in order to fully embody what it is that's coming in here. You got to leave behind this shore that has to do with paranoia or cutting your thoughts off. Cutting your warm, believing thoughts off at the knee and saying goodbye, right? There is an invitation here that says you've got to trust this a little bit more if you want to see it fully play out. So the big practice this month for Cancerians is going to be to trust it. Now, there may be some leaps of faith. There may be some things, with long-term planning too. I think it's really interesting when we realize we have a big, long process ahead of us, right? And not something that we're necessarily trying to do all in 1 week, but something that we realize, we're going to be learning about for a few years. There is kind of this understanding there is going to be times when I have to leave certain things behind, or times when I feel a little bit far away from my goal, and that's okay, right? And that's another part of this, I think. It's a really natural part of our evolution. Now, with that Six of Swords, you are leaving behind the familiar. That's always going to show up in Six of Swords. And you may be leaving behind something that did feel familiar, but you can't use it anymore as you grow into this next devotional state. And I think that's a really big part of your puzzle here. So keep all of that in mind. Sometimes when things start to move in the right direction for you, that's when you're looking for the extra noise and sound, right? You're looking for what you're used to, which may be a little more resistance or a little bit more of a loud voice saying no. And when that's not there, you start to look for signs that are telling you you're not allowed, or that you're breaking a rule, or that you're doing something bad, or that you're just kidding yourself, right? So the practice this month is going to be just to perceive those thoughts and then to let them be. I have an invocation for you all for this beautiful month. I'm so excited seeing the energy that I'm seeing here. I really am. I love this so much. I think what I see here is the organic process of growth. But the invocation here is for our Mars retrograde and also for the equinox, for this time of deep rebalancing, self-acceptance, and healing around our Martian warrior. So here we go. May I allow my magnetic beauty to radiate from me and share it with others. May I commit and choose those things which feel good down to the bone. And in choosing these pathways to feel a flood of new ideas and creative outlets to flow from me. May love surround me in all that I choose. I love that. I think this is going to be a really creative month, really expansive month, really eye-opening month, a really heart-filled month for you all. I'm really excited to see what happens. Once again, I'm going to be offering a lot more detailed support around Mars retrograde over on my Patreon. I love offering those things to you there. It's a beautiful space. I'd love to see you there. Thank you so much to those of you who are with me. You mean the world to me. You can also find me on Instagram and on my website. I'll leave all of those links below so you know where to find me. And you can find PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry on her Etsy shop. I will leave her link below as well. I love you all so much. You are my heart, and I hope you have a beautiful September, a powerful September, and one full of abundance. I will talk to you so soon.